I just wonder if they moved it.
I'll call the work session to order.
In a couple of years.
We'll go over the regular business meeting first. We'll have ceremonial matters. We'll have a proclamation honoring Ms. Gresham. She's still coming in. Got come in. Okay. The public work certificate should have been taken off. We're not presenting that tonight, and there should be there should be a proclamation 2015-07 for preeclampsia national awareness for the month of May. I pronounced that right.
Is that something to do with pregnancy?
Pregnancy, high blood pressure, there's a walk going on in Snellville. They asked us to do a proclamation. I said that right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Preeclampsia?
You don't land with you.
Yeah, I know it's not a good thing.
Do we have the minutes from the last meeting? Any discussion over those minutes?
Okay.
Good.
Well, wait a minute, I did have one. Yes.
So close, that's so close.
No, I know, hang on. Let me see if I can find it. It wasn't like monumental, but there was one, I think, left the reader very confused. And it was in the work session, that's why I'm not like, really concerned. Under discussion items, discussion of new insurance policies, which was the first thing. It says City Manager Sanders gave a brief update and stated this was just an option to add to the current insurance, which would assist in controlling costs. He further stated City of Ackworth was currently using this service, but this was never explained. So I think we just need to insert, what would you say, self-insurance?
What would you call that? Policy.
He's not even listening.
Making notes here, what's that?
On the insurance that was discussed at the work session
Yes.
last
Group
time?
health. It's a
Yeah.
hybrid self-insured option.
Okay, so if we could just add hybrid self-insured option, if everybody's fine with that, it just explains what we're dealing with there.
Anything else? And we have the art commission. Let's see down there. And then Mr. Kirkland. You know if he's gonna be here tonight?
No, I think Phyllis, I believe you got it. I saw a copy of an email from Eric saying he would not be here.
And what's the manager's report?
Just a couple of really quick points on regarding GWMA. Our dues are going down this year. So I just wanted to say a couple nice things about that.
We have first reading on the budget. Anything we need to go over?
We'll have, I've got about 5 slides, just going over the same overview pages that we went over the other night, and just open it up to a public hearing.
Anybody? We also have first reading on the record services ordinance.
It's the same as it was before. It comes with a recommendation of the department. There you go, unless there's some modifications that you've seen.
I had a question about, we have a provision in there that if they're closed for the day, they can't charge for it. I'm concerned about some of the people charging $50 an hour and saying, and somebody goes at noon and they're closed. So they charge them an extra $50. We don't have anything for an hour provision in there. We only have it for a day. And I discussed it with, I think I mentioned it to Leslie. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were about that.
I'm not sure I would worry too much about breaking down to that detail. The way the ordinance works, it gives a lot of discretion to the chief in those enforcement areas of charges and regulating. And the ordinance itself is probably pretty good to where if somebody were abusing that and disclosing the charge, he could pull their privilege.
Isn't that tied to regular business hours? I thought that would take care of somebody coming.
Well, we know certain people, and they could say, we had an emergency, we were closed, and here's, you owe an extra $50. That was my concern. Yeah, we don't need the ordinance, to be honest with you.
Anything else on that? Okay. City Wi-Fi, we got the document of the budget meeting, but is there an actual recommendation by staff?
Well, I know we had the discussion last time as to how far you wanted to go. You know, whether you wanted the green, the senior center, or just City Hall. You know, our recommendation is to use Smart Wave Technologies. That was by far the most responsive entity as far as answering questions and providing documentation. So once you give us some guidance on that.
I thought we talked about just City Hall, and I'm pretty sure, we talked about just getting City Hall done.
As a first
and-
step.
As a first step, and I think Adrian mentioned that someone should get in touch with Comcast Business and see for a separate, completely separate from our servers and everything else. It'd just be a Wi-Fi for City Hall. Part of the concern in the past was the fact that you didn't want people accessing the servers with this, where they wouldn't have it, it would be a separate entity completely.
We can take that as a first step. That's what you want to do.
And so I want to make sure we're clear, because last time we talked about that, and then we asked that council be given all the documents so we could review what had been going on, and we got that summary sheet, and then I thought, you had told me staff, we didn't need all the documents, the staff was gonna make a recommendation. So I want to make sure, is staff prepared to make a recommendation on just City Hall? Do we need to do more bids? What is the status of just going forward with City Hall?
I'm saying, if you want a recommendation, I'm saying to proceed with Smart Wave Technologies just to.
What was the amount of money?
Oh, for City Hall, we're just talking about an hourly, just a few hours of labor.
But then how are they gonna set it up so it's not on our server? We would need a separate server.
You don't
It
need
doesn't
a
cover
server.
that.
You don't need a server, you don't need a server, all you need is a modem.
Or a router.
No, there's not that many to do with this server.
Do we have a number, or we just set a couple hours?
If you want just City Hall, I will get you an exact number, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, it says, we'll set up City Hall public Wi-Fi in 4 to 6 hours at a rate of $135 an hour. Doesn't say a whole lot, but that's what it
That
says.
includes equipment.
I mean, that's inclusive of equipment too, Butch, or no? It doesn't appear
No,
that
it's
it
not.
would be. Okay.
I'm asking that we get a firm figure for just City Hall at this point, from them, and also from Comcast Business, okay? And our telephone, our provides a telephone service in City Hall. Just take those three and let's see where we are.
Okay?
Is that all right?
So we'll postpone this to the next meeting? Actually, it probably needs to go on the work session, but I thought we were ready to go through it tonight.
Mayor, I sent you an email, but we have an item that's missing off of the agenda. I'm going to amend it for the action item for the cables for the pop-up market. But we're here.
He's closing on a house.
Well, okay.
Do you still want it?
Well, if we don't have it Saturday, if we don't do it, we don't have it. But my concern is that I asked Eric to get the names of people who sit at that table. If he has enough for 2 tables, fine. If there's enough for 1 table, it's 1 table. You know, because it was, again, it was set up to bring in developers and people who want to do it. So as long as he has that.
He sent out an email, I think today, asking council if we were going, and I had never said, I mean, I said, yeah, I'll go, but I had never responded before, because I thought you had said the tables weren't for us.
I think I made that perfectly clear to him and everyone, that wasn't for us, it was for him to, we would pay for it, so he could have, he could use that to bring, you know, developers and people who could help the town center into that meeting. So I guess I'll recommend that we'll go up to 2 tables, but that we need to know who's gonna be sitting at our table. Make sure that, you know, I don't wanna pay for it and have an empty table.
Right, but I also don't wanna leave it open and just, since we've already agreed for 2 tables, that just anybody's gonna be sitting there.
No, I don't want, no, just anybody's not good enough. I think it has to be, we need the names approved list.
It's gotta be somebody, it is
Yeah.
Snellville after all.
Right, it's gotta be somebody that's, you know, it's gonna be,
Everybody.
Everybody's
not
somebody.
every problem.
They're digging in
Alright,
there.
that would be item C, but let's get back to
I know
item
the
B,
answer,
that's
but I
the
can't talk.
absentee ballot clerk for
Oh,
2014.
I'm
Did they
The
need one or
state law
two?
says that the governing authority, I know we appointed our election superintendent committee, but state law says the governing authority appoints the absentee ballot clerk, and then we also need to appoint, the governing authority needs to appoint the, poll manager, 2 assistant poll managers. So tonight, I just have the absentee ballot clerk on there, but we probably need to put on the next agenda for the poll managers. I have put Ms. Richardson on there because absentee ballots will need to be someone that's here at City Hall as people come in, because that's advanced voting.
I'll just say that the, Ms. Richardson, Ms. Schultz, and Mr. Byrne met for the first time today. And I think it was a very good conversation. I think they got organized and set another meeting to come up with a calendar and a list of duties. I think timing was talked about on a lot of things. And there was a little discussion about this item on the agenda. I don't remember what the final outcome was. Richardson,
Well, and, you know, with the committee approach, Mayor, the issue becomes the overlapping responsibilities and how they're signing and where they're signing off.
Well, the code section's clear, it's not the election superintendent that makes this appointment, it's the governing authority.
You're exactly right, all of those, but I think you'd find if you watched this city and probably other cities, is that all of these come from a list of folks that are provided by the superintendent. That's really the recruiting person who comes up with it. And we were just talking about who signs off. There's a blank on a lot of things that require the superintendent to sign off on them, the manager to sign off, and then the special designated person. And we just we wanted to look at it and just make a good recommendation to the superintendent to fill those posts in ways that doesn't contradict what the law requires. And so we talked about it at the meeting, and I think the consensus was they would come back and put those pieces together and make a recommendation.
I personally am not willing to give that power over to the election superintendent committee, because I still have issues of whether they've even been certified by the Secretary of State's office. So I'm leaving it on the agenda. If no one wants to make a motion, so be it. I have some real concerns, not just with the upcoming election, but the absentee ballot clerk will be responsible for absentee ballots after the election as well. Currently, there's blank absentee ballots and used absentee ballots in an unlocked room upstairs for anybody to go into. So I have real concerns with the security of our absentee ballot and our systems that we've been using in the past. When we were looking at the room for a
Wouldn't
month.
it be our clerk's responsibility to secure those?
Not if she's not in charge of the absentee ballots, no. It falls, the code section, it falls under the absentee ballot clerk to secure those and take those into possession.
I don't think anything that is currently produced is going to be used in the upcoming election. They have to be customized to so the fact that old stuff is unmarked is here doesn't really affect the election process. And it's the numbering. There's a very sophisticated system of numbering and keeping up with the ballots, and the new ballots will have their own numbering system. obviously the candidates are gonna change from the last absentee ballot.
I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to say that those ballots can be used in a new election, but, you know, you only have so many days after an election to get a list of people that voted, because those ballots then after that are gonna be kept under lock and key, and our ballots are not. When we went to look at upstairs for a multi-purpose room, the ballots are just sitting there. Nobody sees who goes in and out of that room, and they're just in a box.
There was some concern, you know, this is preliminary for the superintendent's committee, but there was concern. Ms. Richardson did raise the issue of security on not just absentee ballots, but early voting ballots and the type of structure that y'all use to lock them away, and that security can be raised. And so the committee was looking into making a recommendation on that too.
Okay. Work session agenda, we have t-shirts for GMA. I think we all got t-shirts last year. We typically order them every year. I don't know if we want to reorder them because we want to still have them from last year, or if we need new ones.
What's your pleasure?
You need to, soon as we get the going. And we need that too. You're gonna act real.
And since we're not getting a condo in the budget.
That's right, yeah.
A couple apiece?
And if you don't say it the Weston, maybe you get 3.
I'll second.
So, Ms. Richardson, if you can get everyone's size, and I guess get us some options on the design of the shirt. We've used, I know we've used Print Magic, and we've used STA, and we've used Patricia's in the past to do those embroideries for us. I think before we did polo shirts, and we've also done the button down. Do y'all want to do the polos again, or do you want to do the button down?
I prefer I do the button.
So we don't have to order, I don't think, I mean, we can individually order, it doesn't really matter. It's just a.
I think
Just
you
your
normally
preference.
have to buy us, I don't know, you'll just have to see. Just pick a few options, and then we can pick from there.
Sorry.
Don't have much time.
Let me back up first, review correspondence. I was in a hurry because I had to get the flowers, but we did get a letter from the state that our stormwater report, I think we had talked about that before, has gotten approved. I don't know if you got that letter. So, and Mr. Powell?
Mayor, I did an executive session tonight, both litigation and real estate. The gamble paid off with regard to the governor's signature of Senate Bill 63. It was signed by the governor on May the 5th. So we have to be the first group to be in full compliance.
How appropriate it was signed on Cinco de Mayo. There might have been a plan.
This may be one of the greatest city manager accomplishments ever. We have the fully executed certified easement agreements that concludes our LCI acquisitions from Mr. Brown, who was no easy guy to negotiate with, but your city manager managed to accomplish it. So we just need the mayor and the clerk's signature, and we're done. It's a great thing. That's all.
Update on city website, Mr. Marino, any action going on?
Yeah. There's 2 sheets, a schedule and a sample. We'll pass those around.
Could be a little more organized.
They stick together. Hard when one's in one spot. Okay, this is a schedule that we're looking at for implementation. And the illustration is a proposed change to try to ease into what the new website's going to look like. And I think one of the things that we need to look at is using the website to promote the city. And this is just some copy I threw together, it's subject to change. But I think we need to be a lot more active in drawing people in from the cover page, from the home page. So everything else would stay the same. You can't have a rotating image in the center there. They rotate at the top without spending money. But this is all changes we can make without spending any money.
This is on our existing site?
This is our existing site as it is now, just on the front page.
So basically, you took off the mayor's welcome.
Well, you know, it's kind of 20 years old. It's like, welcome to our website, like we're sitting there and saying, oh, look at us, we have a website. And I think we need to approach it from the standpoint of course, we have a website. We're trying to,
How are we
Bring you
gonna
into
change the
our
whole thing?
Hmm?
How are we gonna change the whole?
this is transitional. That's the schedule to change all the time. And the changes will allow us to pretty much make changes here. Once we get the new website, we can pretty much change anything here without having to go outside. The way it is now, we can do limited changes with this framework without incurring extra costs. I didn't think it was sensible to spend a lot of money on this site when we're looking for a new.
Yeah, I would say don't
So I just wanted to transition, so when we get the new site, which is gonna be bringing people into the city, it'll look closer to this than what we have.
That second meeting in June, Dave, is that municipal
We
assembly?
won't have that meeting as consent, so
Yeah, this is just what was
That
on
was
the
just
website.
RFP responses due,
this is a meeting of mayor and council.
but there, I mean, there
Yeah.
doesn't need to be a meeting of mayor and council, it's just the due date for the RFPs.
And those are all flexible, depending on how responsive the vendors are.
Well, I think you won't have a city manager or city clerk, so I think, you know, if staff's opening these RFPs and making a recommendation, we'll need to move that June 23rd.
That's fine.
Well, that looks good, so then potentially we could have a new website by the fall. Up and running.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, we'll just take the mayor's picture off the website, the change we've recommended.
No, because it's in with the mayor, it's in with the mayor and council, which I think is where it should be.
I understand. Take the mayor's picture off the front page.
We
I
can
know
put
it's
a,
been done since the beginning, but
we
let's
can
take
put
it
a-
off for a couple of months.
Just
we
leave
put
it
a
on
little one in
there.
there.
Leave it on there, it's not working.
Well, I didn't figure we're trying to sell the mayor, we're trying to sell the city.
The
So,
mayor's the official spokesperson of the city, and what you've taken off is the mayor's welcome.
just leave it on there, it's not
We
working.
put the mayor's, well, write something that doesn't say, welcome to our website, it's 1995.
Somebody wrote it for me, so if you want to write something up, I'm
I'll
happy to do it.
do that.
Mr. Howard, you have something you want to say about this?
It's ridiculous, that's what it is. Don't
I-
have a
I
problem,
remind you of
don't
the
have a
decorum
problem,
policy.
don't have a problem speaking to you in your face.
Okay. You need to remember our decorum policy, Mr. Howard.
Very well.
You need to refrain from the insults.
Nobody's
This is not
insulted anybody.
kindergarten. But you just said I'm being ridiculous. That is
No,
a huge
it's the
insult.
process that you're thinking about is ridiculous. We're trying to be better.
The process we're
If we
thinking
might move
about, the
along,
process we're thinking about, so now you think that the process that Mr. Mano gave us is ridiculous? Or you think it's my request to keep the mayor's welcome on the website ridiculous?
Whatever you say.
Thank you. Snellville Days, 2016-10.
I put this on here so we could talk.
Wait, Ms. Bender.
So
Excuse me, Mr. Howard, what did you say?
I didn't say anything.
You did, Mr. Howard, please say it in public.
I believe I have the floor.
Ms. Bender,
The
Ms.
Snellville Days tent for next year. I wanted to put on, I'm sorry Eric's not here tonight, I haven't talked with him about this, but we have the city tent for the council and whoever else wants to be there, and this year we had nothing. We had old beat up wooden table, no tablecloth, no information, just nothing at all. So what I wanted to do, and I know part of that was because there was no one responsible to do anything. So what I'd like to do is propose that for the next Snellville Days and thereafter, that we'll put the economic development manager in charge. We'll make it his responsibility to make sure that he's got, I know we've got the city tablecloth, but that's out there. The easel, any information that we have available, the Big Town Center book that can be out there for people to look at. We talked also about putting some money in the budget to do either little bifold or trifold brochures about different parts of the city one being Bristow Park and the master, the improvements we made in the master plan, one being the town center design and plan, and just anything else that's out there and available, to get some brochures printed up so that people will have a takeaway on these different things. And that we have somebody in charge of making sure all of that information's together and makes it out to Snellville Days. And I'd also like to propose too that we, having that council that's available, that we cover the booth, either teams or however, whoever can be there for what. But I'd also like to see some staff out there, at least parts of the days. This, Eric, Economic Development Manager, if Butch can be out there for a little bit, maybe the Planning Director, Parks and Rec Director. I know Lisa's really tied up with Snellville Day stuff going on, but it would be nice to have some of these people available part of the time if anybody's walking by. I mean, it's a good time to have casual conversations with people, but sometimes you need those conversation starters, something for them to look at, so.
Maybe we could have a schedule and let people know when we are gonna be there.
Yeah.
And so, I think putting somebody in charge is a great idea. For the past couple of years, I've gone and picked up Eric's stuff and brought it out there and set up the table. I put it on the agenda twice for this year to get stuff out there, and I think Mr. Emanuel and Mr. Howard said it wasn't worth spending the money to get things made for the Snellville Days tent.
No, wait,
And so we didn't go forward with it.
trinkets.
Yeah, I'm not talking about having,
Okay.
the only thing that came up
So
here was just
don't try to
having,
spin it that we didn't want something out there.
Mr. Howard, there was
Totally
no
different thing than what
interest
Ms.
in the
Bender's
tent,
talking
and so I did not spend my time or effort doing it because there was not support of council.
well, that's
I
fine.
think, look, Mr.
There was not support to
Mr.
buy
Howard, let me
trinkets.
finish.
Just make sure to get that out there.
I think it would be a great idea to form a Snellville Days committee, have staff members and have a members of council so that we can deal with this going forward, because it shouldn't fall on the shoulders of one person.
Well, you're the mayor, you
So
call
I
a
will-
committee,
I
so
will- I will
we
draw
need a
up a
committee to do this, that's
I will draw
fine.
up a committee for the next meeting and announce those appointments at the next meeting. Service provider contract, Mr. Sanders, you gave us that at the last council meeting, at the budget meeting.
Right.
Update on election committee, I think we've already had that, anything else? Update on Mr. Blankenship. Is that exec session or?
It should be, yes.
I know, Fires Road intersection update.
That's an executive session.
What does that fall under exec session for?
Potential property acquisition.